In Survivor, we have seen some absolute blowouts in challenges, where one tribe or contestant completely decimates the competition, and it can be pretty obvious as a viewer who's going to win from start to finish. But then there have also been times where it really comes down to the wire, where a challenge is literally decided by less than a second, which has the viewers on the edge of their seats to see who will progress further in the game. This is Analytical Strategy, and today I just want to touch upon 5 examples of extremely close challenges in the game of Survivor. Some of these challenges may have even decided the winner of the game. So whilst we do live in a strategically dominated era of Survivor, we still must remember that challenges are a crucial part of the game, and they can really play a role in who wins or loses that $1 million. Of course, this can be difficult to tell being a viewer, as editors can make them seem closer than they do appear, but I truly believe these challenges were decided by the final moments we saw on our screens, resulting in these nail-biting finishes. So in 5th position, we are going to go all the way back to Season 2 of the show The Australian Outback, in a challenge titled Blind Leading the Blind, a challenge we have seen a number of times within Survivor history. We had 2 callers in Jerry and Nick, acting as the eyes for their respective tribes, as their fellow tribe members had to go through a set of obstacles whilst being blindfolded. Each tribe had to fill a large bucket, and once it had overflowed, they had to put a picnic basket on the table to receive their reward of Mountain Dew and Doritos. It really got down to the wire, with Ogrecore filling their bucket and picking up their basket first, but struggling to find that table in the end. And Kucha swooped in at the very last second to put their basket on the table first to win the reward. It is absolutely crazy to see how much challenges and rewards have evolved over time in Survivor history, but this, for its time, was an absolute nail-biting finish, and deserves a spot as one of the closest challenges in Survivor history. So in 4th position, I've decided to group 2 challenges together, due to very similar finishes regarding the same person within both of them. The first I'm going to discuss was in Survivor Winners at War, titled a challenge I've also featured in my previous Biggest Survivor Blowouts video, called Dishwaller, where each tribe carries a large saucer through a set of obstacles to fill it with water, to pour in a well to release puzzle pieces. Yara was able to complete their puzzle to get the win. Saleh and DeCall really battled it out for that other immunity spot. It was really back and forth, and it could go either way. Wendell was crying out to Jeff to get his attention for half a second, whilst his tribe wanted him to really focus in on that puzzle. And ultimately that really could have been what cost them the win, with them literally losing in what looks to be less than half a second. This really saddened Nick, as he was involved in the previous blowout for this challenge in Survivor David vs Goliath, but also just lost this exact same challenge by less than half a second in this season, adding further salt to the wounds. Now this obviously relates to a previous extremely close challenge, which I'm sure you all know what I'm talking about, being another close race in Wendell's original season, Survivor Ghost Island, with himself and Laurel in a challenge titled 7 Bridges Road. It was again down to the puzzle portion of the challenge, and Wendell looked as though to have completed it first, but he did not call Jeff's name, and Laurel pounced a couple of seconds later, which resulted in some deliberation between Jeff and Wendell that he needs to call out the challenge to win the challenge, resulting in Laurel ultimately winning immunity. This is why Wendell was so fixated on calling Jeff's name in Survivor Winners at War, but ultimately got the same result in losing both challenges in an extremely tight finish. Absolutely phenomenal scenes. So moving along to 3rd position, I'm going to go with the final immunity challenge of Survivor Heroes vs Villains, which was a remarkable finish to a remarkable season, with 3 contestants all within a meter of taking it out to guarantee their position at that final tribal council. This challenge was titled Blind Maze, where each contestant had to make their way through a giant maze blindfolded to retrieve 4 necklaces at specific stations. The first to obtain all 4 necklaces and then find the hidden immunity idol gets the opportunity to pitch their case to the jury to win the game. Now, putting Sandra aside, it was a very close race between Parvati, Jerry and Russell throughout the entire challenge, and boy oh boy did it come down to the wire. All 3 of them entered that final stage of the challenge to obtain that immunity necklace, basically next to each other, all being unaware that the other 2 were also close by. Russell, luckily enough, was the first to grab it, with Jerry being just behind him and Parvati being just behind Jerry. It was an absolute battle, there is no doubt about that. Russell cemented himself his spot in the final 3 and chose Jerry to be the final member of the jury. Now if Jerry was just that 1 second quicker and got to the necklace, she would have been in that final tribal council and also been right up there to win the prize this season. So all of these small components of challenges can really make the difference to the entire season. And on that note, we move along to our second position where we have another final immunity challenge. And this time it comes within Survivor Cagayan, between Cass, Wu and Tony, with this season being a final 2. This was another maze challenge titled Roundabout, also requiring to collect 4 items, in this case medallions, from a range of stations. Once all 4 medallions have been collected, they can use them to open a chest, to obtain cogs to form a puzzle, to raise a flag, and again the first person to win gets to go to that final tribal council and will decide who sits next to them to compete for the $1 million prize. Now this challenge was very close, with all 3 contestants finding the first 3 medallions in around the same time. Tony and Wu then broke away and had a significant time advantage when it came down to working on that cog puzzle. But we all know Cass is a puzzle guru and is known for coming back from challenges and succeeding. She again blitzed her way through that puzzle and caught right up to Wu, but it was just slightly too late, losing by half a second to Wu with him raising his flag to get to the end of the game. Wu in the end made one of, if not the biggest blunder this game has ever seen, by taking Tony to the end of the game. So again, we must know this challenge played a huge role in shaping this season. If Cass was 1 second quicker and won this challenge, she likely would have taken Wu to the end and Wu would have won the game. So quite ironically, in this extremely close win, if Wu wins this challenge, he loses the game. And if he loses this challenge, he likely wins the game. What a crazy, crazy game Survivor is. And in first position, we have to go with the closest challenge in Survivor history on paper, and that's the second immunity and reward challenge in Survivor Cook Islands. Yes, this challenge resulted in a dead heat, a draw. The contents of this challenge gets forgotten about easily, as we all know the real story was when this challenge actually ended, and the love story of Billy and Candice commenced. But in terms of a close finish, we cannot say it gets any closer than this. Now, as there were 4 tribes at this stage of the game, we're just going to focus on the top 2, with the I2 tribe throwing this challenge to get rid of Mr. Billy Garcia. So in terms of who was going home, it was pretty straightforward, but it was also deciding who won the reward component of this challenge. Now this challenge was titled Toe the Line, with each member having to remember the story of Captain Cook, whilst making their way through obstacles to obtain 7 answer flags. Once they crossed a rope bridge, they will use these flags to answer 5 questions to win both immunity and reward in the form of 2 tarps. Now both Puka Puka and Rarotonga hit their mat after answering these questions at exactly the same time. They even had to go review the footage to see who won, and it was decided it was a dead heat. Both tribes receiving 1 tarp each as part of the reward component of this challenge. Whilst each of these challenges mentioned were absolutely iconic and came right down to the wire, shaping their respective seasons, you really cannot get any closer than this, and that is why this challenge takes the #1 spot as the closest challenge in Survivor history. So what do you all think of these 5 challenges? What other close challenges have there been in Survivor? Please let me know down in the comments. If you are new to this channel and are enjoying this content, remember to smash that like and subscribe button with new videos coming each and every week. This is Analytical Strategy and we are signing out once again. I'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.